So I see what Tabata is doing. He's now setting up like the first opening parts of this fight, and he's just gonna bring like a bunch of characters in chunks as things go. Like obviously Asta is going to stay behind for a little bit longer to just try and get the union down, which I like. I like that he's not just kind of like grabbed it and has it instantly. He was able to do what I would assume is a partial version. From this panel, we only see an arm, and I like what the armor style that we can at least see so far. The way that it's kind of like curved with the markings on it, kind of like Asta's headband. I think that just looks really cool. Granted, it's not full. We haven't seen the full version of how exactly this form looks, but I would like to believe that it's going to be, again, pretty cool. I'm hoping Asta doesn't have like a bad setup for for a form, because this black form it's a cool form, but it's very easy to kind of look cool because it's, for the most part, a horn and then some, to a degree, claws and the color. So it's not the same as like a more a specific like design like for armor from what Tabata's going with, clearly. But I think that it's easier to mess the armor up than it would be to mess something up like his black form. But I don't think he's gonna do that. I think it's gonna look fine. I mean, the design already with the way the shoulder pads look, I think it looks pretty cool. But how he's gonna have everybody seemingly show up with starting with actually is really interesting, because I'm hoping we can get some spotlight. I've mentioned before my concerns for right now after he didn't seem phased while talking to Asta, so we know that is like a sign that he's pretty seriously upset and it's kind of shaken by everything. So I would like to get some focus on him. Plus, to me right now is one of the larger, I would consider one of the larger issues right in the story, not in a bad way, but I mean, we just need to have some spotlight. Doesn't have nearly as much screen time as I think he should have by now. Like, we're like, what, 273 chapters in the series, and really you can only think of like a handful of parts at this point. And it's not that doesn't get to participate when he's there. He just depends on if he's actually part of whatever arc or whatever piece of the story is kind of going on. And I don't know, I feel like we should have at least like some focus on him before we get to the next portion of this arc, because I am really hyped to see like what's going to go on with the doubles and what's going to go on with like these gates. But I would like to really get some kind of spotlight, because we know when Asta shows up, he's going to have Devil Union down. He's going to he's the star of the series, so obviously he's going to take a bit of hold of what's going on, and I am excited for that. But I'm hoping can get some good just center stage time before that, because Noelle's not going to be there as well. And then there's a couple other characters that Tabata is clearly kind of saving, like Zora and Magna. But yeah, needs to get some form of just kind of focus on him. But I did really like the opening of the chapter with what was going on over the Spade Kingdom, because it was funny during one of the live streams recently, and like talking to everyone on Josuke's stream, which, by the way, go check out Josuke's channel. He does like the best Black Clover streams. We go there, a bunch of different Black Clover streamers. We just talk about new chapters and stuff. But when it comes to this part with the spade, we were complaining about it to a degree. Like, it was more of a, dang, we really want to see this or open. We get to see this part when it comes up, kind of set up for the arc. And then like a couple days after that, we got exactly that chapter. We got to see Morris. There's a member of the Spade Kingdom we can see behind him. There's Lotus, and Lotus was cool, like seeing Dante, and Dante's hyped to seemingly to fight Asta again. And then there's another devil frozen in either ice or crystal beneath the Spade Kingdom, and that holds a good a good question by itself, I think, just going into this, because if it was just a devil, we'd go, oh, it's with the tree. But this was a devil that resembles the type that Link turned into. So I'm wondering if that's going to have a, you know, direct explanation on how that's relevant to this arc and not something either for later or something for show. Like, I'm hoping that this isn't just going to be, oh yeah, we have a devil we're going to unleash to defend us while we're doing this or something. I'm hoping it'd be like, oh, you know, this is the first devil that's on the tree, and then an explanation of maybe these really big artificial devils or whatever they're going to be called. This class, this species of them, are like the lowest level of that upper grade of devils, kind of like when we get to like the high class ones. This is the very bottom of the high class, with Lucifero being the, you know, the pinnacle of the high class devils. But seeing that, and then Yami and William just in that weird kind of like tree thing, I wanted to get a name for it, just to kind of like have an idea of like what to refer to this as. We didn't get any of that, not a big deal. But that's when the chapter kind of like peers into Asta, and he's got the partial devil union, and with Noct's form was partially like dispersed, like part of his arm is just completely, you know, without his devil union magic, and there's just a large slash in the ceiling, and he's noting that with the power that they have, if they get up to like train him to be, you know, to hone that perfectly, then they'll be the strongest. And Noct, I like that Noct doesn't have, he doesn't seem to have a large scale kind of selfish positioning in this, because he's just trying to get Asta stronger for the, like, the good of the kingdom and stopping the Dark Triad and stuff. So he's perfectly happy with getting completely trounced like this, getting completely wrecked by, not like completely wrecked, because obviously right now, like right here, if he wanted to, he could defeat Asta. But Asta missed him on purpose, probably knowing that it could potentially kill him if this move hit, and then, you know, missing intentionally. That's where he would have won. So Knocked on top of like not doing anything, but it's like, yeah, you know that you only didn't win. You only had the opportunity to win because Asta decided not to cut you down, kind of thing. But him in this form, I think is I really want to see the helmet. I think that's actually one of the parts I want to get to the most. If it's just going to be the shoulders and then maybe like some form of guard on the face, I don't really know, because I don't think it could just cover up the eyes like he's some superhero from like the 40s. But if he's got the two shoulder pads, I think just anything that might kind of like maybe cover up kind of closer to his mouth, maybe just kind of like some collar piece. I don't know. Either way, it was really nice when Noct was talking to him about all the kind of hardships that Asta's had to deal with, all the things that he's really just kind of had to put up with and had thrown at him through life and fate. And he's like, you know, you're always right. And I don't think it was stated in the way that like you were always right. It's like, well, they shouldn't have doubted you. It was like you were always in the right. You always chose the right path, and you always kind of steered into the general direction of being a good person. I like that. I thought that was really good about just the interactions in general for Asta and Noct. Because theirs is very weird how Noct doesn't like Yami and doesn't like the Black Bulls, but he likes Asta. Just because Asta is genuinely just a very kind of honest and humble guy. I wonder if he would like Noelle. Because like early Noelle, no, but like current Noelle, I feel like he would appreciate her to a degree. But now Noct is going to like head out in the battle. He's going to leave Guido Mello behind. And my question for what they're going to do now is, for one, how many people are going to defend the Clover? Because I know like Kaiser's not going. Because you see at the end, for the most part, it's like all the major captains, and then you have like some of the vice captains. Like you have one visible vice captain. I said vice captains because I looked at Rel and I was like, two. It's like, oh no, he's not vice captain anymore. Him on there like makes sense. Like even if Langris isn't the vice captain, he's still powerful and his magic is still really busted. They've got a lot of really strong people on their team. The only person that they have that I would kind of I would probably have left behind is Dorothy, just because Dorothy is so useful in home defense. Like if somebody showed up, if she had to just trap them, that she could. But The obvious question one in there though is Seki, and I like Seki. I like the Seki memes, but in reality, Seki is in a bad position because what is Seki gonna do here? Seki has actually pretty notable magic. Like his Seki magic, Seki Magnum Cannonball, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. It's not comparable to like some of the bigger spells, but it is. It has a barrier around you, keeps you safe, and it can fire off attacks in multiple directions at your enemies. It in concept is pretty good. And then he's got like his shooting star where he's got like mobility and stuff. So like eventually he could probably combine his two spells and be able to move very freely while being able to shoot indiscriminately just all around him. I think would be really useful for just Seki. Granted, I don't know what Seki's gonna do in the upcoming fights. I'm really hoping that he gets a win. Like, I don't need some like 3 to 4 page or 3 to 4 chapter fight. I'm perfectly fine with a 1 chapter fight with Seki because I know that Seki isn't very powerful, but I would like his character not to just kind of be there and weigh everybody down completely. If he can legitimately just beat some no-name bad guys, maybe save somebody from getting like a sneak attack, I'd be pretty hyped on that. Because Seki, regardless of him being silly, him being kind of, I don't want to say a bad person, because Seki's bad person side has really kind of been whittled away. And his fortune has mostly been gained on misunderstandings and just being lucky. So Magna Seki combined with that and the fact that he's been here since the start, so he's a very like old rooted character in the series. I would like him to have some good moments. Like, again, I don't expect him to beat anybody of value. If somebody he beat had a name, that would be like the big home run move for Seki fans. Like, I would like Seki to have some form of just like, oh sweet, like Seki isn't totally useless kind of thing, because that's what everyone in reality knows. Like like I said, I like the Seki memes. I think they're funny. It makes me pretty happy to know that the fandom has some pretty consistent like memes of their own, and I still think Seki's funny. Like early Seki, I thought was like, wow, he's a complete piece of shit. But then later he just kind of became more of like goofy and unfortunate, but he's been trying to kind of get better to a degree. And if Tabata can take that and give us like a little bit of a good character to where we can like him and he does some good, then I'll be pretty happy. Because I've always liked that when you have a character who's more like, who starts out very comedic and then just gets some strong scenes in being like actually a competent character. Like I've seen it in a few series and I've always really enjoyed that. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, but friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.